Calvin Ford broke down on live TV the moment he heard about Gervonta "Tank" Davis's arrest. Tears streamed as he looked back on their climb from the rough streets to championship gold. His voice shook as he confessed how painful it was to watch everything crumble. For Ford, it felt like the end of a journey he thought would never break.
That's why I said that. I said, yo, you can't write this, man. You cannot write this. My experience being gone and all the stuff that I went through preparing me for where I'm at today. You know, that Tank is older. He had the lessons, getting his lessons of what he got to do to take us the rest of the way. And this is his take us the rest of the way.
Gervonta Davis has been surrounded by controversy for years. Earlier this year, the mother of his children accused him of mistreatment, though the case was eventually dropped. Not long after, another woman stepped forward with her own lawsuit, dragging Davis back into the spotlight. Even with victories in the ring, Davis couldn't escape the constant magnifying glass on his personal life. In the world of superstar athletes, nothing stays private for long. Fans, critics, and the boxing community judge everything: skilled behavior and every off-camera moment. For Davis, the message is clear. No amount of success can shield a fighter from the consequences of public scrutiny and legal drama. The spotlight doesn't just follow you, it exposes you.
Happened, the Paul camp still thought Tank is a big enough name regardless of his previous result to go ahead with this bout. But just as they were going to announce this fight initially, DV allegations dropped. Tank was arrested and it was once again put in doubt. Then the charges were dropped. A week later, they announced the event. So that kind of brings us to today. This event hasn't been smooth sailing so far, and it was almost destined that there would end up being a few more bumps in the road before we actually saw the two facing off. And about as big of a bump as you could really get has now hit the promotion. A civil suit has been filed against Tank, in which his ex-girlfriend accuses him of aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. While it was also reported by ESPN that a report has been filed additionally with the Miami Gardens Police Department last Tuesday. However, as I'm recording this, there's yet to be any criminal charges. Now, these alleged incidents happened last month, which was after the announcement of the fight. You would think if you're Tank on the verge of the biggest payday he's ever gotten, he would be doing anything to stay out of trouble, yet he continues to find himself in negative situations again and again. But in saying all of this, everything at the moment is very much alleged, and I'm not really here to talk about the validity of these claims. What I am here to talk about though is the impact this might have on the boxing event in a couple weeks time. Now, Tank vs Paul, love or hate the idea of it, was definitely one of the most viewed fights of the year. Although there are rumours of there being poor ticket sales, the at-home audience...
Roy Jones Jr. weighed in, saying Gervonta Davis has been battling personal issues for a while, and this new lawsuit only piles more weight onto his shoulders. With his scheduled fight against Jake Paul collapsing at the same time, the pressure reached a breaking point. Jones explained that people inside boxing already knew Davis had a history of problems, so none of this is shocking, but it's still devastating. The cancelled fight robbed Davis of a major opportunity, leaving him stuck dealing with both public criticism and private frustration.
Kyle, just what were your thoughts on that whole thing?
Man, I really don't want to even have much to say about that, because everybody take it the bad way. But all I'm gonna say is this: Jake Paul knew what it was when he first signed the fight. This ain't the first time he had battery against a woman. You knew what it was when you first signed the fight. So don't get mad and cuss him out and talk bad about him now. You knew what it was when you signed up for it. Come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let's not do that. I don't talk bad about him either, but don't do the dude like that. No, the dude having a hard time in his life right now. Don't just do him like that. You know what I mean? Because you knew exactly what he was when you signed him to fight the first time. All I gotta say.
Tank's team has kind of been bringing that, like, talking about just some of Jake's past, and more kind of said that Jake said he's actually afraid to fight Tank. I mean, do you think it leaned a little more on that side, and they're just selling it the other way?
I already know what it is. Like I said, I already know. I'll get into it, but we all know when young guys.
Jake Paul gave his own version of events, claiming Davis was sober, aware, and fully responsible for what happened. According to Paul, there was no attempt by Davis to blame alcohol or escape accountability. Paul's comments have added fuel to speculation, giving fans another angle into the chaos around Davis. But it's important to note, these are Paul's words, not official documents. Still, his remarks highlight the intense pressure high-profile fighters face, where every rumor becomes a headline and every mistake becomes a talking point.
Was on Aiden Ross, and he shared a story about Jake Paul, about Gervonta, and he said, look, Aiden, it was 4:15 in the morning. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. Gervonta Davis was sober. He got sober into a car and drove out there at that hour to do this. This guy is extra bad. Let me repeat that. Let me repeat that. Jake Paul said that Gervonta Davis left his house sober and went to Tootsie's nightclub sober. I just want you to put your common sense hat on. How in the world would he know that? Does Jake Paul talk to Gervonta Davis? Did Gervonta Davis tell Jake Paul I was sober when I left the house? Did Jake Paul have a camera in Gervonta Davis's car? Did he have a breathalyzer in Gervonta Davis's car? Did Jake Paul get toxicology reports from 3 days ago from Gervonta Davis? I am just curious as to how in the world Jake could possibly know that Gervonta Davis was sober. Let me tell you for sure, I will have a drink now and then. If I take a couple shots of vodka and I walk out the house, I'm a little buzzed. Sometimes my wife doesn't even know. How do you know, Jake? The answer is you do not. You are just trying to add something to the story to make Gervonta look worse. It wasn't enough that Gervonta Davis...
Coach Kenny offered a deeper look into Gervonta Davis's journey, reminding everyone that reaching the top of boxing is never clean or easy. Every elite fighter battles pressure, critics, and life outside the ring. He stressed that legal issues or bad headlines don't erase years of dedication and sacrifice. Kenny's message was simple. Greatness is shaped by struggle. The obstacles Davis faces today don't define him, they test him. Then only fighters with real grit push through.
With this sport, when you're in it, right?
I think fighters have always loved this sport itself. It's the bullshit that comes with it behind the scenes, the dishonesty and shit like that. That should get on my nerve.
Yeah.
Not saying that's what Tank's situation is, just the sport, period. I'm speaking on the sport, man. If people would be honest and jokers really take fights like they said they would, but behind the scene they not taking the fight, but on social media they won't take the fight. It's a bunch of bullshit, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the shit that I don't like about the sport. And the promoters need to come together, man, and let the guys fight. Problem is, you need a fighter to carry each promotional company. The promotional company don't want to put their man in there with no real fighters because their company gonna flop. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they won't let. That's why the big fights ain't having it. If fighters can take a loss and still keep on taking that. All this new generation shit is crazy. I've seen guys with 10.
After Davis's legal trouble erupted, Jake Paul officially pulled the plug on their exhibition match. In his letter, Paul claimed Davis seemed uninterested, unfocused, and even frustrated during preparations, showing little effort in throwing tantrums. The cancellation showed how quickly personal problems can derail massive opportunities. In the fight game, distractions don't just hurt your image, they cost you million-dollar moments. And this one slipped right through Davis' hands.
If it's true what they said, I just know that they were saying he was showing up late to promo shoots and he was, just being a diva, just being a difficult person to work with. And the thing I always tell anybody, and I don't care what age you are, whenever you're working with somebody, when you're on a set, when you're in a corporation, whatever it is, the thing that will keep money in your pocket and always keep you working is when those individuals say, that person is a pleasure to work with. When they say you're a pleasure to work with, I promise you, you will always get phone calls. That's why I walk in the room. It's just my nature anyway, because, just the way my anxiety set up, I need to know who's who. So I speak to everybody. I look in everybody's eyes. I'm really observing to make sure I don't see anything bulging in any places where there might be pistols or anything else. But I'm saying hi to everyone. I speak to everybody in the room. I speak to everybody when I leave. I'm polite because I used to sell crack and work at Taco Bell, and I understand how much of a blessing it is to be in these positions. There's no way that I'm going to be, getting tens of millions of dollars like Gervonta Davis is and be acting like a diva. And I'm not saying he was. I'm just saying if the rumors are true. You know what I mean? If the rumors are true, because that's what I was told. And I heard they were just looking for a reason to part ways. So
I mean, that's a good reason. I think he has a good point too. It's just like, he built his platform a lot, or Jake, on female fighters.
Absolutely.
So maybe he should support Gervonta because he supports the beating of women. Shit.
Yeah, but not by other genders.
I got it.
And also, too, maybe Tank isn't used to
Nobody has paid people more money to beat women.
Former world champion Paulie Malignaggi fired back at Jake Paul, saying that nothing about Davis's controversies was new. The boxing world already knew about his past incidents, and videos had been circulating for years. Malignaggi argued that Paul acted surprised, even though Davis's history was public knowledge. His point: anyone choosing to work with Davis should have expected complications. None of this came out of nowhere. This reputation has been years in the making.
It's, I don't know, it's like damn if you do, damn if you don't. He had already had this history. He's trying to be better, and this is something that had already happened in the past, right? I mean, this was already known when they signed.
Yeah, he wasn't arrested.
He did this prior to this being signed, so you already knew this happened. It was regurgitated as a civil suit, right, but it was already something that everybody knew had happened but in the past. So it's not like something new happened after he signed the fight. So that's what I don't understand, and that's why I don't want to see that. Right. I don't want to see that the kids still lose out on it that way for that reason. Because I don't know, to me it doesn't add up. It already happened. You knew it happened, then you made the fight anyway. So now, based on something you already knew happened, now you're just saying, oh no, because this happened, we're not going to do the fight. But you knew already in the first place.
Yeah, the history was already there.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
and for this particular situation, by the way, mind you, the girl now is coming with a civil suit. Yes. She probably saw that he signed the Jake Paul fight, and the Jake Paul exhibition. Now he's going to make more money. Let's sue him. You should have let him get the payday first if that was what you were after, at least in the first place. Because, yeah, he's made money in the past, but he's not going to get that payday now. Obviously, the reason you set the civil... There's obviously a reason why the civil suit comes now of all times. His name's in the headlines for the Jake Paul fight. So this Momo thinks that the money's already in the bank. It's not in the bank until you do the show, and now the show's off. So if that's what you were after... You cut your own possible winnings and fractionalize them.
Right, and when we're looking at now is, it looks like Netflix has moved on. They want a different opponent. The problem is, Paulie, and we have a list, of course, Boxing Scene today, Lance Pugmire doing a list of possible replacements. Paulie, before we get into the actual names, what kind of person would take this fight? They're saying it would be delayed maybe to December, but this idea that, are you already in shape? Is it a fighter who's not in shape right now? Is it someone getting ready for a fight? Well, but you want him beatable, but not going to embarrass Jake Paul.
But sellable enough, marketable enough. Listen, Jake is very good at, I always say, Jake doesn't set up fights, but he stacks the deck. There's a difference. You can't blame Jake for, personally, me, and everybody thinks these fights are set up. I've never thought they were set up. The way I read the situation is the deck is stacked enough where Jake hedges himself and he's able to win. This is an exhibition, so you don't have to do that. I mean, granted, maybe the replacement becomes a real fight. I don't know. That's something to consider. Maybe this becomes more interesting if it's a real fight, if it's a guy he gets and it's a real fight.
With Davis officially out, the hunt for a new opponent kicked into high gear. Rumors quickly spread that KSI or another big name might step in to face Jake Paul. The sudden shift shows how fast plans change in combat sports when personnel issues explode. One fighter's troubles can flip an entire event upside down, forcing promoters, fans, and the whole industry to pivot overnight. Davis's absence isn't just a cancellation, it's a ripple effect.
Tank Davis on November 14th in an exhibition bout at the Kaseya Center in Miami before the fight was canceled on Monday after a civil lawsuit filed by ex-girlfriend Courtney Rozelle accused Davis of battery and aggravated battery, among other things. Had the fight happened, Davis would have been the 7th person on Paul's list of 12 desired opponents, a list that also included Conor McGregor, KSI, Canelo Alvarez, Kamaru Usman, and Paul's older brother Logan. I forgot that Usman was on the fucking list, dude. I forgot that he was like, yeah, let me get a piece of Kamaru Usman in boxing. Oh, okay. To date, he has fought Anisan Gibb, Robinson, Askren, Tyron Woodley twice, Nate Diaz, and Tommy Fury from the list. Paul has also had victories over former UFC fighters Anderson Silva, Mike Perry, and boxers like Andre August, Ryan Borland, Mike Tyson, and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. With the Davis fight off, most of the names on the list crossed off. It's time for a new set of goals for Paul. So here's the new hit list. Oh God, I see number one. One that Paul...
On the Ariel Heloni show, analysts broke down how damaging this new lawsuit is for Davis's public image. Coming only 2 months after his last case, the pattern paints a picture of ongoing instability. They explain that back-to-back controversies don't just hurt a fighter's career, they strain personal relationships and create a long-lasting cloud of doubt. For elite athletes, missteps outside the ring can hit harder than any punch inside it. In Davis's case, the panel agreed, repeated. Legal trouble is slowing his momentum and chipping away at a reputation he spent years building.
Aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Lawsuit comes 2 months after Davis's previous domestic violence case was dropped by a different ex-girlfriend and the mother of 2 of the boxer's 3 children. I just think MVP is in the business of being the home of women, right? At this point, like, that's a huge part of their identity. What is their identity? It's Jake Paul and women's boxing. That's their identity right now. And they've done a phenomenal job for the women. And so how, with these allegations lingering and now coming to light 2 weeks before, how can you go through with it? And it sounds like they feel the same way.